My name is Fweiveli.
And thank you for joining us today on the original
Man and
and
Woman.
Woman. Okay, so today's video is going to be about DNA activation. And we just want to give you some tips and tricks that you can use in order to activate your DNA to reprogram yourself at a subconscious level so that you can unlock untapped potential, basically. Okay, so one of the things that we want to talk about is the how-to process. Like how to, if you've decided that this is for you, how to get started. Go ahead, babe. Give us some pointers.
All right. When it comes to DNA activation, you guys, if you want to take the first step, I recommend you to just start eating healthy first. Because
Absolutely.
eating healthy is a part of the conscious mind also and the subconscious. And once you begin to eat right, you will start to notice changes over time within your body and your subconscious mind. So the reason why you want to start by eating right is for one, once you start eating a lot of alkaline foods, a lot of green foods, a lot of, vegan-based foods or healthy, I don't really put a title on it. I just call it healthy living, healthy eating.
Absolutely.
It's a lifestyle. So
basically,
once you start taking in good foods, good plant-based foods, what starts to happen is your blood starts to change over and your blood cleanses out itself. And this is a part of the DNA activation. You leaving a lot of junk that was in your body and you getting rid of all the parasites and toxins. So one thing you're gonna start to notice is once you begin eating right for the first process and the first step, you'll notice that you'll begin to see your dreams more once you start laying down and sleeping. And this happens because your mind, body, and soul is becoming a portal and a channel to receive information at that point in time.
Absolutely.
And just like the planet, you change over too because your body is the planet.
So you're basically just setting your body up to receive the information. So you're basically setting yourself up to be an antenna,
right,
at this point in time. So just preparing.
True.
Just preparing, just preparation to receive the information.
True. So DNA activation is a good thing. And before I get more into it, I want to let you guys know, don't try to outdo yourself because it's a process and it takes time.
Absolutely. It does.
You want to be the best that you can be. Everybody does, and this is why we're here. We're here to let you know and bring this information to you. DNA activation is something, it's a unlimited benefit. It's beneficial to your lifestyle. It's beneficial to everything that's around you. And one thing I have noticed is that you need a male and female to start DNA activation. Faye also brought the altar to me, and that also helps because at that point in time you can start receiving information and
from your ancestors and spirit guides and way showers. And again, please be aware that your ancestors also, you are your ancestors, and they also have the same DNA that you have. So they're more inclined to help you change, and to help you begin this process by keeping you in tune with yourself. Also with your ancestor altar, with your spiritual practice, basically. And they'll also keep you in touch with your environment. What kind of environment that you need to foster in order to be able to have a successful DNA activation. So one of the things, again, and Fweiveli mentioned it, that I brought him the altar. At that point in time, like I said, I had been experiencing, I was about to go through the change of a DNA activation, and I didn't realize that. It just felt like in my spiritual journey I was not necessarily stuck, but I was just like, I didn't know which way to go. I was just like, okay, I had felt like I had tried everything. I felt like I had done everything. I felt like, and I felt like I still wasn't experiencing the type of change that I wanted. So I just hit the internet and I just hit YouTube, and I was just, watching videos, trying to, figure out what was taking place with me, what was going on with me as to why I wasn't experiencing the results that I wanted to be experiencing. And shortly thereafter, I came across a video for a gentleman, actually two people. One, the young lady, her name is Pretty Boss TV, and she has a video up on Ancestor Altars if you guys want to check that out. Her information should be in the description box below, as well as our Instagram pages and other YouTube channels. So check that out below. And also, there was another brother whose name, his YouTube channel, I believe, is S. Ali Myers. And he's a brother from up north that has his own metaphysical shop and things like that, and he teaches metaphysical principles and things like that. And he also talks about that the ancestor altar is a portal to your subconscious. Okay, so please be aware that when you go through the DNA activation, your ancestors also experience that. Okay, so a lot of untapped potential, a lot of things will start opening up for you. Information will just start coming to you in dreams, things of that nature. But when I introduced Fwe to his ancestor altar, believe it or not, the way that our DNA activation happened, and I want to say this with a surety, but if you are male and female, you will not activate your DNA alone. Okay, human DNA comprises of male and female. And I'm not trying to say anything negative. I'm just going to say that is what the activation will take place. So it normally will take place when there is another individual that is also ready to receive that same download, that same information. And at that point in time, when I met him about a year ago, we actually were ready to take that leap. And he actually, as we had started getting to know each other after we first met, he actually told me that, okay, all I need to do is a DNA activation, and that's that. And at that time, to be honest with you, I didn't even know what to call it. I just knew what I was feeling and what I was experiencing, but I didn't have a word for it. It was so it just had me so flabbergasted to where I couldn't call it. I didn't know what to call it, but he had known what it was. I did not. And the more we started being together and getting to know each other, and basically exchanging information, spiritual information with each other, that's when I started noticing the DNA activation taking place. That's pretty much that. As far as the ancestor altar, that's one way of activating your DNA. Did you have in the eating healthy? Yes, that is important. You have to set yourself up for success on that. Dave, did you want to? Yeah, you want to do the same thing?
Yeah. Like then again, everything is important. Everything that you do shouldn't be counted out. You shouldn't be trying to do one thing more than the other. Everything is a balance. And as far as the altar, if you guys are spiritual and you guys don't believe in altars or any way shores or guides, and you feel like it's just you and God, then
that's fine.
You can also
that's fine too.
You can also use your own vessel as an altar, but you know what that comes with. You going the whole 9 yards, eating healthy, living a righteous lifestyle, and doing right by others, nothing really changes except the ancestors are already inside of you. They already house you. So if you feel like you don't need to take care of an altar or you don't need one, then start meditating. Meditating is the closest thing to find out who you are. Because when
Absolutely.
you meditating, you going inside of yourself, and you looking inside you, and you realizing who you are through meditation. Um, DNA activation takes you a long way. It's basically like a superpower. If you have natural gifts to feel others people's emotions, everything will enhance. If you're a psychic, medium, everything will enhance for you.
Absolutely. True.
If you have any abilities, superhuman abilities that you feel like you do have, DNA activation enhances this. Some people don't even realize it, but it's because you're going up in DNA strands.
Absolutely.
We not count anybody out. We do know that there are people who are taking a spiritual journey alone, and you need a partner to activate your DNA. You can do it by yourself, but this takes more dedication and more time. When you have the masculine and feminine energy together, it helps creativity produce at a much higher rate and faster rate. So you always want to keep that in mind. If you're doing it alone, it'll take a little longer, but you will get the results that you're looking for. However, in the process of you getting yourself right, you're going to run into another partner who's on the same vibration or who's taking the same steps that you're taking. So keep that in mind. No one is left out. DNA activation is something, it's a gift. It's a gift.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's a gift. And embrace it. It's nothing bad. It's not nothing you go out your way to do. It's something that happens when you decide you want to take that next level. When you feel like you can keep going and keep rising up. So DNA activation was a good choice for us. Sometimes it's inevitable. It's just going to happen.
True.
It's going to happen whether you like it or not. And DNA activation is unlimited information. So it gets to a point where the information is so conscious to the point where, you're just receiving information. And it feels like it's coming out of nowhere, but it's really not. It's really you being in tune with the earth, you being in tune with your higher self, and your higher self getting in tune with everything around, everything around you, everybody in your environment, including you, yourself, and the people who are on this journey with you. And like I said before, when you doing this DNA activation, you have to be on the lookout for people who gonna be trying to stop you from rising up in DNA. You get what I'm saying? So that's one thing we have to take into consideration. You have people that's waiting to say something negative about what you're doing.
Yeah, so just try to keep that pretty much private into yourself. Let your spiritual life be your own. Because a lot of people, if they don't understand, they're very quick to judge something that they don't know about, and sometimes they can be a bit harsh. Excuse me. They could be harsh. They could say things that they, just tactless things that are damaging. Speak harshly of things or insult what you're doing, and you don't want to feel negative about that. You should never feel negative about what you're doing to get closer to who you should be, okay? Because honestly, I believe that we all are here to rise and to lift each other up, if at all possible. But the first step to lifting up anyone else is to lift yourself up.
It's true.
Okay, so that is another thing. Also, I wanted to talk about the sense of reprogramming yourself. Since DNA activation comes from reprogramming yourself through the subconscious, one of the things that does happen is that the body is 70% water And water carries huge amounts of information. Oceans carry information in life, and the water inside you carries information in life. And the water inside you, inside all of us, carries information. And sometimes the things that we tell ourselves, the things that we say to one another, to ourselves, actually begins to be a prophecy for a lot of people. They start living out, okay, my mama told me I ain't shit, my daddy told me I ain't shit. And because you're at that age, and again, water also rules the emotions in the body. Okay, your emotions can again shape your perspective of yourself. So, for instance, if you were told that as a child, okay, you ain't never gonna be shit, you're useless, you worthless, okay, it will make you feel bad. You'll feel, if you understand what you're being told, if you understand you're being told you're useless or whatever, and you understand what useless and worthless means, you know, then you'll feel bad, you'll feel low, but then you'll start looking at yourself from the words that were spoken to you by whoever, you know, has spoken them to you, and it makes you have an emotional outlook on yourself. And that is how water can you know, be used to heal, as well as some people inadvertently hurt people by saying these things. Also, the ear canal does have fluid.
True.
So don't forget that. Okay. So again, affirmations do work for this. A lot of people who try affirmations state that they don't work for them. One of the reasons why I've learned that affirmations don't work for certain people is not because of the person, but it's the affirmation themselves. It's a difference to say that, okay, I know just what is going to heal me. I know just what's going to turn me around to get me to where I want to be. So some people just make affirmations: give me the money, give me the stuff, give me this, give me that, give me this, give me this, give me this. However, the affirmations that you need to be speaking that could probably bring you closer to what your desires are not the ones that you wrote. And that has to be revealed to you. Okay, meaning that you can behave all you want in one way, thinking that that's the way that's going to get you what you want, and it's totally not the right actions, nor the right affirmations, nor the right emotional outlook or perspective that is going to give you proper DNA activation at all. So your affirmations have to come with a lot of study, and it has to be a lot of study of yourself, getting to know yourself.
Sure.
Once you have a good indicator of who you really are, at that point in time, then you can make affirmations based on the knowledge of self. If you making affirmations and you don't even truly know yourself, how are you making affirmations? That may not even be what
There's no point.
Your higher self is even saying is the problem. Your higher self might be saying, this ain't even a problem with you. The problem ain't this. The problem is this. But again, self-reflection is a tool that you can use to set up great affirmations. I promise. Self-reflection, looking back at all the things you've done, the painful things, the embarrassing things, the things that you were successful in, the things that you failed at, but looking back at all those things and seeing where you could have done better and where you could have been the bigger person, or where you may have made a mistake in. You could have done things, or you could have, I'm sorry, pardon me. You could have done things from, it could have been done another way. It could have been, you may not have to have took it the route that you took, So, just being aware of that, just being aware of that. So self-reflection was a big tool that I used, and how I was using that tool was, for as well as my failures and my successes, I went back into times where I did, become successful, where I did, achieve goals that I wanted. And I looked at my mind frame at that point in time, what I was thinking, what my perspective was on life, and at that point in time, I knew what I had in me based on, my gifts and things that had started coming out at an early age. So to self-reflect at this point in time on, like I said, failures, successes, things like that. That is what got me to have a very accurate perspective on who I was, and so that no one could tell me who I was and how I was going to manifest things and how I was going to create the life that I wanted for myself. That came from self-reflecting for myself. But go ahead, baby. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
Before we wrap it up or get done, I want to touch on what she said, and a lot of what she's saying is key. A lot of this takes perseverance, being persistent in something that's difficult or something that's having delay. You want to keep pushing through. How you know if you activating your DNA is when you changing yourself up and you keep getting these urges or impulses to do the things that you used to do. When you start fighting those urges, then you rising up in DNA activation. And it's going to get to a point where you constantly rising up, because you'll know once the information is coming nonstop. You learning things about yourself more than anything. And once you learning more about yourself, you could start seeing things from a higher and better perspective. Your mood, the way you look at life, a lot of things enhance everything, Also, I want to mention, it is for everybody, but you can't consume poison and expect to have a DNA activation. You can't be in a bad perspective and expect for things to go your way.
In other words, you can't be out here, mistreating others, lying to yourself, lying to others, and think that, and just doing all stuff that good and well.
You can't get away with it.
That you can't get away with. Honestly, I would think you would want to take care of that first before you even went towards the DNA activation. Because if you try it any other way, you're not going to get any results at all. In fact, you're going to keep being brought to what's wrong with you at this point.
Yeah.
Before you go any further.
True.
So the longer you avoid that, the longer it's going to take for you to actually tap into a DNA activation for yourself and, start moving forward with, whatever it is that you want to move forward with.
True. So
so that's pretty much.
Basically, your character has to be intact. You have to have a good character. We have a lot of more information on this particular topic. We just wanted to let you guys know that it does exist. It's something that should still be worked on with. I feel like everybody should be at a rising point in their life.
Yeah.
No matter where you coming from, no matter where you at around the world, it's for anybody and everybody. But the choice is up to you. Nobody can make that choice for you. We here to present the information to you. We can only help you make a change, but we can't tell you to change. We can't demand that on you. That's something that you have to take into consideration.
Yeah, so take everything that we're saying into consideration, and if this seems like this is the path that you're on, we'd be glad to, help you along that. Again, in our intro video, we just want to be your tour guides, to guide you to your ultimate happiness, So we're not here to judge or to make you feel that you have to do things a certain way, but if you're looking for this particular DNA activation, this video is a perfect how-to. Like I said, because I had never experienced a DNA activation before, I really honestly didn't know what to expect. I just knew that I was experiencing something that felt like I wasn't getting anywhere, but In some ways, I could see changes happening in my life, like things manifesting out of the blue. And we will have story time, especially some things that have happened since our DNA activation
True.
started, to where we have just seen miracles happen, to where we have seen physical healing, rapid physical healing, and also just seeing like a lot of changes in our perspectives and in our finances, to the extent to where we made our first video of how to retire with no money and no savings and no income.
True.
Please check that video out, because that is how we came into that perspective in this lifestyle that we're enjoying at this point, because we had a DNA activation, and when we
True.
had it, it allowed us to be able to change our perspective on work, jobs, business. So when DNA activation comes, it's literally like you'll be able to see your way out of anything. And then you'll be able to take your perspective and literally turn it on its ear.
True.
Just to be able to get around it and to still enjoy your life. In Abraham Hicks videos, they talk about a lot of times, acting as if, and having a perspective of you acting like you already have it. And with the DNA activation, I did realize that was becoming a lot easier, that we literally were able to feel like we had everything, with no lack, with no nothing, that we had everything that we needed, and that we were the luckiest people alive. And so with that vibration, started bringing us the miracles, started bringing us luck, it started bringing us. And so the DNA activation will literally change your life. It will change your life. Because I used to be a person that I would take things personally. If they happened to me, that must have meant that, it was me that was the problem, and or that something was wrong, period. And so it caused me to have a bad perspective towards loss or towards challenges, to where I really couldn't step up fully to the plate and take challenges or loss, because I viewed it as it was something negative about me that caused these things to maybe not work out in my favor, or whatever. So it caused me to shy away from wanting to experience that emotion, so I would avoid it. So anytime when anything went wrong or anything like that, I would just take it personal, and I would just be in self-pity, and nobody would see it. I wasn't running around pouting or bothering anybody. I just would be to myself, feeling sorry for myself, trying to figure out where I went wrong, and blaming myself and things like that. And that was where I was with a lot of that. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add into as far as your DNA activation? Like what changes did you notice for yourself?
The changes that I noticed personally was the way I communicated with people. You always have information for people, but sometimes it gets to a point where you know yourself too well, and that's what ended up transpiring for me. And one thing I could say is once I started getting in tune with myself, I started mastering other people. What I mean by mastering other people is like basically reading other people, knowing what type of individuals are in front of you. Like
Absolutely.
Telepathy, mind reading, a lot of things pick up, and a lot of things you're going to keep to yourself, because the information that you get, to a certain extent,
it's for you.
It's sacred. It's sacred.
It's not for you to share.
It's sacred. And that's the part of the activation, is the DNA strands. Humans have DNA strands, and your DNA strands continue to increase and go higher. So the higher your strands get, the more information, the more powerful you become, because the information changes you. Information changes lives, so imagine somebody lying to you your whole life, and then by the time you're on your deathbed, someone tells you the truth. You got crippled and old was because the information that they gave you was deceiving you.
Absolutely.
So had you would have known right, you wouldn't have been in that predicament.
Particular situation, yeah.
So it all boils down to you loving and knowing yourself and learning yourself and showing that to everybody around you.
And seeking the truth.
Seek the truth. And only
Seeking
the truth.
the truth. A lot of deception and witchcraft comes from people making decisions on partial information, on emotional information, just like I was explaining before about how I would come out of an emotional perspective. I'm a Pisces, by the way, but I used to come out of emotional perspectives and get into self-hatred, self-blame, things of that nature. And so, what I was saying about that is that basically just be aware of the decisions that you're making. Sometimes you get partial information. Sometimes you're outright told a lie. And a lot of times with those type of scenarios of witchcraft, which is pretty much just control, just control and manipulation, that you tend to get into making a decision on an emotional note. Like, okay, automatically nobody has to say anything. If we see a child molester and we know it's a child molester, we automatically hate him. Because that is how we have been taught to deal with child molesters. True. You know what I'm saying? Or anyone that does anything negative or adverse that would harm people.
Little children.
Yeah, little children, people, things like that. So that's another thing, just making sure that you're not making decisions off of emotional things or partial information. So just seek the truth. If you feel like you don't have enough information before you begin any of the tips that we described in this video, feel free to research. There's a whole lot of other YouTube videos and YouTube influencers and personalities that are talking about some of the same things that we are sharing information in regards to, and you are more than welcome to check their videos out and to see if that information matches up with what we're talking about. I can guarantee you though some of them may not reflect what we're talking about, so please be aware of that not everybody is going to have advanced spiritual technology that we have. The only reason why we possess it is continued spiritual study. Continued spiritual study.
Day and night.
Day and night. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop.
To add on that, it got to a point to where we had so much information. Up until this point, we look, we just got to release it. So this is an outlet. This is our channel. And, we want to bring you the best information as possible and let you know that it's raw, it's authentic, and it's pure. It's off the strength. Not everybody gonna go out their way to tell you something that you need to know. You look in society, a lot of the information, it's the same curriculum. School systems, wherever you go, the same curriculum. Who's teaching something new? Not too many people.
At all.
Not too many people.
At all. And no one is teaching the next level too. We can continue to harp on the problems, or we can go ahead and tell those that are ready to hit the ground running, okay, it's time to run.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's part of it too. Okay, so we hope that you enjoyed this video. Please DM us if you have any questions.
Subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe. Okay, so this was the original man and woman. We are going to go ahead and sign off. And we'll check you guys out later, okay?
Peace out.
All right, bye.